Hello everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. I'm Emma, and today we are going to talk about something that every person experiences, but many people find difficult to explain in English. We are talking about bad days, difficult emotions, stress, disappointment, frustration, sadness, and those moments when you simply do not feel like yourself. Sometimes we know exactly what is wrong, but sometimes we just feel tired, uncomfortable, or emotionally heavy without understanding the reason.
And I'm Daniel. I think this topic is very important because English learners often study how to talk about positive things, such as success, happiness, travel, hobbies, and future plans, but real conversations are not always positive. Sometimes a friend asks, "How are you?" And the honest answer is not, "I'm great." Maybe you are exhausted, worried, disappointed, or emotionally overwhelmed. Today, we will show you how to express those emotions naturally without using only simple sentences like, "I am sad," or "I am angry."
Exactly. And before we begin, remember that you do not need to understand every single word immediately. Listen carefully, notice how we describe our feelings, and try to repeat some of the expressions after us. Daniel, let me ask you a simple question. How are you feeling today?
Honestly, I have had better days. Nothing terrible happened, but everything seemed to go wrong from the moment I woke up. I slept through my alarm, so I started the morning in a hurry. Then I spilled coffee on my shirt, missed my bus, and arrived late for an important meeting. During the meeting, I could not concentrate properly because I was still thinking about everything that had already gone wrong. By lunchtime, I felt mentally exhausted, even though the day was only half finished.
That sounds like one of those days when several small problems happen one after another, and together they become emotionally exhausting. Sometimes one small inconvenience is easy to manage, but when many things go wrong in a short period of time, it can feel like the whole world is working against you.
Yes, that is exactly how I felt. I knew the problems were not very serious, but I was still frustrated. I kept telling myself, "Calm down, Daniel. It is only a bad morning." But emotionally, I could not let it go. I felt irritated by everything. Even small noises bothered me, and when someone asked me a simple question, I almost responded rudely.
That is a useful expression. I have had better days. It means that you are not feeling very good, but you do not necessarily want to explain everything immediately. For example, someone may ask, "How are you doing?" And you can answer, "I've had better days, to be honest." It sounds natural, and it gives the other person a chance to ask what happened.
Another useful expression is, "I'm not feeling like myself today." You can use this when you feel emotionally different, physically tired, unusually quiet, or unable to concentrate. You may not know exactly what is wrong, but you know that something feels different.
Let us imagine that Daniel and I are friends meeting after work. Daniel looks tired, so I ask him about his day. "Daniel, you seem unusually quiet today. Is everything all right? You normally have a lot to say, but you have barely spoken since you arrived."
I'm not really feeling like myself today. I have been trying to stay positive, but I feel emotionally drained. It has been a long week, and I think all the pressure is finally catching up with me.
I'm sorry to hear that. Do you want to talk about what has been bothering you, or would you prefer to take your mind off it for a while?
I think talking might help. I have been working hard on a project for several weeks, and today my manager told me that the client was not satisfied with the result. I understand that feedback is part of the job, but I still felt disappointed because I had put so much time and energy into it.
That must have been difficult. It is completely understandable that you feel disappointed. When you work hard on something, criticism can feel personal, even when it is only about the work.
Exactly. Intellectually, I know that one unsuccessful project does not mean I am bad at my job, but emotionally it still hurts. I started questioning myself and wondering whether I was actually good enough. I know that sounds dramatic, but when you are already tired, one negative comment can feel much bigger than it really is.
It does not sound dramatic. It sounds human. Sometimes our emotions are stronger when we are tired, stressed, or under pressure. You may normally handle criticism well, but on a difficult day, the same criticism can feel overwhelming.
Thank you. I think the word overwhelming describes it perfectly. I felt like I had too many thoughts and emotions at the same time, and I did not know how to organize them.
Let us pause here and look at some useful expressions. Daniel said, "I feel emotionally drained." This means that you feel mentally and emotionally exhausted. You may still have physical energy, but you do not have the emotional strength to deal with more problems.
You can also say, "I have a lot on my mind." This means that you are thinking or worrying about many things. For example, "I'm sorry I seem distracted. I have a lot on my mind at the moment."
Another natural expression is, "It is all becoming too much." You can use it when responsibilities, problems, or emotions are becoming difficult to manage. For example, work, family responsibilities, and financial stress are all becoming too much for me.
And sometimes people say, "I need some space." This does not always mean they are angry with you. It may simply mean they need quiet time to think, rest, or calm down.
That is important because when someone is having a difficult day, we often want to fix everything immediately. However, sometimes the best thing we can do is listen without giving too much advice.
Yes. Imagine that your friend says, "I feel terrible because I failed an exam." It may not help to immediately say, "Do not worry. It is not a big deal." To you, it may not seem like a big deal, but to your friend, it may be very painful.
Instead, you can say, "I can understand why you feel upset," or, "That sounds really disappointing." These responses show empathy. You are not pretending that you can solve the problem. You are simply showing the person that their feelings are valid.
Let us practice another conversation. This time, Emma has had a difficult day. Emma, you have been staring at your phone for several minutes. Did something happen?
I received a message from a close friend, and I think she is upset with me. I cancelled our plans yesterday because I was exhausted, but she thinks I do not value our friendship anymore. I tried to explain, but I feel like everything I say makes the situation worse.
That sounds stressful. Are you angry with her, or are you more worried about the friendship?
I think I am more hurt than angry. I understand why she was disappointed, but I wish she had asked me how I was feeling before assuming that I did not care. I have been under a lot of pressure recently, and canceling our plans was not an easy decision. I simply did not have the energy to go out and pretend that everything was fine.
That makes sense. Sometimes people only see our actions, but they do not see what is happening behind those actions. Your friend saw that you canceled, but she did not see how tired or emotionally overwhelmed you were.
Exactly. And now I feel guilty because I know she was looking forward to seeing me. At the same time, I also feel frustrated because I needed to take care of myself. It is difficult when two feelings exist at the same time.
That happens very often. You can feel guilty and frustrated, grateful and sad, or relieved and disappointed at the same time. Emotions are not always simple. You do not have to choose only one word to describe how you feel.
That is a very useful point. Instead of saying, "I feel bad," you can say, "I have mixed feelings about it." This means you have both positive and negative emotions about a situation.
For example, "I have mixed feelings about moving to another country. I am excited about the opportunity, but I am also sad to leave my family."
Another phrase is, I don't know how to feel about it. You can use this when a situation is confusing and you have not fully understood your emotions yet.
Now, what can we say when we do not want to talk about our feelings?
You can say, I appreciate you asking, but I'm not ready to talk about it yet. This is polite and clear. You are showing appreciation, but you are also setting a boundary.
You can also say, I'm going through a difficult time, but I would rather not discuss the details. This is useful in professional situations, such as when speaking to a colleague or manager.
And when you need support, you can say, I don't need advice right now. I just need someone to listen. This sentence is very helpful because people often give advice when we only want emotional support.
Let us also talk about anger and frustration. Sometimes people say, I am angry, but there are many other natural expressions. You can say, I'm really annoyed, when something small is bothering you. You can say, I'm frustrated, when you are trying to solve a problem but cannot find a solution.
You can also say, I'm at the end of my patience. This means you have been patient for a long time, but now you are becoming very irritated.
For example, I have contacted customer service 5 times, and nobody has solved the problem. I'm at the end of my patience.
However, when you are angry, it is often better to pause before responding. You might say, I'm too upset to discuss this calmly right now. Can we talk about it later? This can prevent you from saying something hurtful.
That sentence is useful in relationships, friendships, families, and workplaces. It does not mean you are avoiding the problem. It means you want to discuss it when you can communicate more calmly.
Now let us talk about supporting someone who is having a bad day. What can we say?
You can say, I'm here if you need me. This is simple, but very meaningful. You can also say, you don't have to go through this alone. Or, take all the time you need.
Another useful expression is, be kind to yourself. We often speak kindly to our friends, but very harshly to ourselves. When we make a mistake, we may say, I am useless, or, I always ruin everything. But one mistake does not define your entire personality or future.
Exactly. A better sentence might be, I made a mistake, but I can learn from it. Or, today was difficult, but tomorrow may be different. These sentences are realistic. They do not pretend that everything is perfect, but they give you room to move forward.
Before we finish, let us review some of today's key expressions. I've had better days. I'm not feeling like myself today. I feel emotionally drained. I have a lot on my mind. It is all becoming too much. I have mixed feelings about it. I appreciate you asking, but I'm not ready to talk about it. I don't need advice right now. I just need someone to listen. I'm too upset to discuss this calmly right now. I'm here if you need me.
Try choosing 3 expressions and use them in your own sentences. You can describe a real experience, or create an imaginary situation. The goal is not only to understand these phrases, but also to make them part of your active English vocabulary.
And remember, having a bad day does not mean you have a bad life. Feeling tired does not mean you are weak. Feeling disappointed does not mean you have failed forever. Difficult emotions are part of being human, and learning to express them can help you communicate more honestly and build stronger relationships.
Thank you for listening to today's conversation. Take a deep breath, give yourself some patience, and remember that you do not need to solve every problem in one day.
We hope this episode helped you learn useful English for difficult moments. Keep practicing, keep listening, and most importantly, be kind to yourself. See you in the next episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Emma, and today Daniel and I are analyzing a World Cup final that brought together two champions, two football philosophies, and two generations of global stars. Spain entered the field as the European champions, while Argentina arrived as the defending world champions, led once again by Lionel Messi. However, when the match ended after extra time, it was Spain celebrating a 1-0 victory, Ferran Torres becoming a national hero, and Argentina wondering how they had reached another final without ever truly imposing themselves on the most important match of the tournament.
And I'm Daniel. This final was not unforgettable because it contained many goals, constant counterattacks, or endless moments of individual brilliance. It was unforgettable because Spain controlled almost every important area of the match. Argentina defended with enormous determination. Emiliano Martinez produced one of the greatest goalkeeping performances seen in a World Cup final, and the decisive goal arrived only when physical exhaustion, tactical changes, and Argentina's numerical disadvantage finally created an opening. To understand why Spain won, we need to look beyond Ferran Torres' finish and examine how Luis de la Fuente's team controlled possession, isolated Lionel Messi, stretched Argentina's defensive structure, and remained patient even when the goal refused to come.
Let us begin with the formations. Spain started in a 4-2-3-1 system, with Unai Simón in goal, Pedro Porro, Pau Cubarsí, Aymeric Laporte, and Marc Cucurella forming the defensive line. Rodri and Fabian Ruiz controlled the center of midfield. Dani Olmo operated between Argentina's midfield and defense. Lamine Yamal attacked from the right, Alex Baena started from the left, and Mikel Oyarzabal played as the central forward. Argentina, under Lionel Scaloni, used a 4-4-2 formation. Emiliano Martinez was protected by Gonzalo Montiel, Christian Romero, Lisandro Martinez, and Nicolas Tagliafico, while Rodrigo de Paul, Enzo Fernandez, Alexis Mac Allister, and Nicolas Gonzalez formed the midfield. Lionel Messi and Julian Alvarez started together in attack.
On paper, Argentina's formation appeared balanced, but the way the match developed forced them into a very defensive position. Spain's first objective was to control the ball through Rodri and Fabian Ruiz. Rodri did not simply pass sideways. He constantly changed the direction of Spain's attacks, moved Argentina's midfield from one side to the other, and decided when Spain should accelerate or remain patient. Fabian Ruiz often moved higher, allowing Dani Olmo to find small spaces behind Enzo Fernandez and Alexis Mac Allister. This created a difficult problem for Argentina because if one of their midfielders stepped forward to press Rodri, Olmo could receive behind him, but if they stayed deep, Spain could continue circulating the ball without pressure.
Spain also used their fullbacks differently. Marc Cucurella moved forward on the left side and provided width, which allowed Alex Baena to move inside and combine with Fabian Ruiz and Dani Olmo. On the opposite side, Pedro Porro often remained slightly deeper, giving Lamine Yamal enough space to receive the ball near the touchline and attack Nicolas Tagliafico directly. Argentina wanted to keep their defensive block narrow because they were afraid of Spain playing through the center, but that narrow shape gave Yamal opportunities to receive the ball in 1-against-1 situations.
Lamine Yamal did not score, but his presence influenced Argentina's entire defensive structure. Tagliafico could not move too far away from him. Nicolas Gonzalez had to track back, and Lisandro Martinez or Nicolas Otamendi sometimes had to move across to provide additional protection. Yamal had an early effort that took a deflection, forcing Emiliano Martinez to adjust and make the save. It was not the most dangerous chance of the match, but it showed that Spain were willing to test Argentina from the opening stages.
Argentina's main plan was clear. Remain compact, survive Spain's possession, recover the ball, and then find Messi or Julian Alvarez quickly. The problem was that Spain's defensive positioning was excellent. Pau Cubarsí and Aymeric Laporte stayed alert behind the attack, while Rodri positioned himself where he could stop counterattacks before they developed. Whenever Argentina recovered possession, De Paul, Mac Allister, and Enzo Fernandez rarely had enough time or space to lift their heads and play a controlled forward pass. Julian Alvarez worked extremely hard, but he was often surrounded, and Messi received the ball too far away from Unai Simon's goal.
That was one of the most important tactical victories for Spain. They did not try to mark Messi with only one player. Instead, they controlled the spaces around him. When Messi moved deeper, Rodri or Fabian Ruiz could watch him. When he stayed higher, Cubarsí and Laporte remained close enough to prevent him from turning. Messi could still move intelligently, but Spain made sure that receiving the ball did not automatically lead to a dangerous attack. Argentina's captain became increasingly isolated, and for most of the match, he was forced to watch Spain control possession rather than influence the contest himself.
The statistics explain the difference between the two teams. Spain finished with approximately 65% possession, produced 20 attempts, and placed 12 of them on target. Argentina managed only 2 attempts in the entire match and did not register a shot during the first 90 minutes. That is extraordinary for a team containing Messi, Julian Alvarez, Mac Allister, De Paul, and Enzo Fernandez. Argentina were defending well, but they were not creating a genuine attacking threat.
Still, the score remained 0-0 because Emiliano Martinez was outstanding. Spain created pressure through Oyarzabal, Olmo, Cubarsí, Laporte, Yamal, and later Nico Williams and Ferran Torres, but Martinez kept Argentina alive. He saved shots, dealt with headers, reacted quickly to deflections, and remained confident even when Spain surrounded his penalty area. In many finals, the goalkeeper of the losing team is quickly forgotten, but Martinez deserves enormous credit because without his 11 saves, Spain could have decided the match much earlier.
Argentina also suffered defensive injuries and changes. Lisandro Martinez was replaced before halftime, Gonzalo Montiel later left the field, and Christian Romero was also unable to complete the match. This meant that Scaloni had to reorganize a defensive line that was already under continuous pressure. Nicolas Otamendi and Nahuel Molina entered the game, while Leandro Paredes later dropped into deeper areas to protect the penalty box. Argentina's defenders showed courage, but every substitution reduced their stability and made communication more difficult.
Luis de la Fuente responded by strengthening Spain's attack. Ferran Torres replaced Mikel Oyarzabal, and Nico Williams replaced Alex Baena. These were crucial substitutions because Williams introduced direct running and speed on the left, while Torres offered sharper movement inside the penalty area. Oyarzabal had worked hard and helped Spain connect their attacks, but Torres played more like a striker searching for the final touch. Spain were no longer satisfied with simply controlling the match. They wanted runners attacking the space behind Argentina's tired defenders.
The most damaging moment for Argentina arrived during second-half stoppage time. Enzo Fernandez, who had already received a yellow card, committed another foul on Pau Cubarsí and was sent off. From that moment, Argentina had to play extra time with 10 players. The red card was not the only reason Argentina lost, because Spain had already been the stronger team, but it made Argentina's task significantly more difficult. They could no longer press effectively, support Messi, and protect every defensive space at the same time.
Argentina changed into an even deeper defensive shape and tried to survive until penalties. Spain continued attacking, but they also had to remain calm because playing against 10 defenders can sometimes become frustrating. Nico Williams had a header brilliantly saved by Martinez, Spain had a goal disallowed, and Mikel Merino missed another opportunity. At that point, Argentina may have started believing that the match was moving toward a penalty shootout, where Martinez's confidence and reputation could have given them a psychological advantage.
But in the 106th minute, Spain finally created the movement that changed the final. Pedro Porro received the ball on the right and delivered a deep cross toward the far side of Argentina's penalty area. Nico Williams timed his run, challenged Nahuel Molina, and redirected the ball into the central area. Ferran Torres had already anticipated where the second ball might fall. Instead of waiting behind Argentina's defenders, he moved into the space in front of them and prepared his body before the ball arrived.
That movement was the key. Giuliano Simeone, who had replaced Rodrigo de Paul, did not close the space quickly enough, and Leandro Paredes had been pulled away while trying to protect another area. Torres arrived first, and struck the ball powerfully with his left foot into the roof of the net. Emiliano Martinez had stopped almost everything Spain had produced, but this time the shot was too powerful, too close, and too well placed. Spain were leading 1-0, and Ferran Torres had written his name into World Cup history.
The reaction inside the stadium was incredible. Torres ran away in celebration, his teammates followed him, and Spain's substitutes left the bench because they understood what the goal represented. It was not merely the opening goal of a match. It was potentially the goal that would make Spain world champions for the second time. For Argentina, the same moment created shock. They had defended for more than 100 minutes, but one cross, one aerial touch, and one intelligent run had broken their resistance.
Interestingly, Argentina became more dangerous after conceding because they no longer had anything to protect. Messi finally produced Argentina's first attempt in the 117th minute, while Giuliano Simeone later received a major opportunity following a partially cleared corner. Simeone's effort went over the crossbar, and that was the moment Argentina needed to take. It was their best opportunity to force a penalty shootout, but after spending most of the final defending, they could not suddenly become composed and clinical in attack.
When the referee finally blew the whistle, Spain's players collapsed onto the field in celebration. Rodri had controlled the midfield, Cubarsí had demonstrated remarkable maturity, Laporte and Cucurella had protected Spain's defensive structure, Yamal had stretched Argentina from the right, Nico Williams had influenced the winning move, and Ferran Torres had delivered the decisive finish. This was not a victory created by only one superstar. It was a victory produced by a complete team following a clear tactical identity.
Rodri and Pau Cubarsí represented Spain's control particularly well. Rodri completed more than 100 passes, while Cubarsí completed even more. Cubarsí and Lamine Yamal were both still teenagers, yet they started the biggest match in world football without appearing overwhelmed by the occasion. That combination of experience and youth is one reason Spain looked so complete. Rodri, Laporte, and Fabian Ruiz provided calmness, while Cubarsí, Yamal, Williams, and the other younger players provided energy and fearlessness.
Argentina, meanwhile, must accept that their defensive plan worked only partially. They prevented Spain from scoring during normal time, and Emiliano Martinez gave them an opportunity to reach penalties, but they offered almost nothing in attack. Messi was isolated, Julian Alvarez received little service, De Paul spent too much time defending, and Mac Allister could not influence possession. Scaloni's team showed discipline and courage, but defending without creating an attacking threat meant that one mistake could destroy their entire plan.
Spain deserved to win because they were not only the team with more possession, they were the team with more intention. They controlled the ball, created the chances, made proactive substitutions, and continued attacking even when frustration could have changed their decisions. Luis de la Fuente trusted Ferran Torres and Nico Williams, and both substitutes contributed directly to the winning goal. That is excellent game management because the coach recognized that Spain needed different movement, more speed, and a striker prepared to attack the second ball.
This victory gave Spain their second World Cup title after their famous triumph in 2010. There was also a beautiful similarity between the two victories. Andrés Iniesta scored Spain's winning goal in extra time in the 2010 final, and 16 years later, Ferran Torres scored another extra-time winner. Once again, Spain needed patience, technical control, and one decisive moment to become champions of the world.
For Ferran Torres, this goal will define his international career. He did not start the match, but great players do not always need 90 minutes to become heroes. Sometimes they need one intelligent run, one clean strike, and one moment when preparation meets opportunity. For Rodri, the victory confirmed his status as the leader of Spain's midfield. For Yamal and Cubarsí, it could represent the beginning of a new era. And for Luis de la Fuente, it completed an extraordinary achievement, leading Spain to European and world success while remaining faithful to an identity based on possession, movement, intelligence, and collective responsibility.
For Lionel Messi and Argentina, the ending was painful. Messi had already experienced the joy of becoming world champion, but this time he walked away as a defeated finalist. His influence was limited, not simply because he played badly, but because Spain controlled the conditions around him. They stopped the passes reaching him, restricted his space, and forced Argentina to play most of the final without the ball. Even the greatest player can struggle when the entire structure of the opposing team is designed to remove his influence.
So, our final analysis is simple. Spain won because they controlled midfield through Rodri and Fabian Ruiz, created width through Cucurella, Yamal, Porro, and Williams, prevented Argentina from counterattacking, and used their substitutions more effectively. Argentina defended bravely, and Emiliano Martinez was exceptional, but they were too passive, too dependent on survival, and unable to connect Messi and Julian Alvarez with the rest of the team. Enzo Fernandez's red card made the situation worse, but Spain had already established tactical control long before Argentina were reduced to 10 players.
Spain versus Argentina will be remembered as a final of control against resistance, patience against desperation, and collective football against individual hope. Argentina waited for Messi to create one final piece of magic, but Spain never allowed that moment to arrive. Instead, Ferran Torres stepped forward, scored in extra time, and gave Spain a victory that their performance fully deserved.
Spain are champions of the world. Their players lift the trophy, their supporters celebrate across the country, and a new generation joins the heroes of 2010 in Spanish football history. Ferran Torres scored the goal, but Rodri, Yamal, Cubarsí, Williams, Olmo, Fabian Ruiz, Cucurella, Porro, Laporte, Unai Simón, and every member of the squad contributed to this triumph.
And that is the final lesson from this unforgettable match. Trophies may be lifted by captains, and goals may be remembered through individual names, but championships are won by complete teams that trust their plan until the final whistle.
Thank you for listening to our analysis of Spain versus Argentina, a World Cup final the world will never forget.
Congratulations to Spain, the champions of the world.
Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep enjoying the beautiful game. Goodbye, everyone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast, where we discuss interesting topics in clear and natural English. I'm Emma, and today we are talking about something that has quickly become part of almost everyone's life: artificial intelligence. We use AI to write emails, answer questions, create pictures, plan trips, summarize long documents, and even help us make personal decisions. But as AI becomes more powerful and more convenient, an important question appears. Is artificial intelligence making us smarter, or is it slowly making us lazy?
That is a really interesting question, Emma, because I think many people have mixed feelings about AI. On one side, it can save us an incredible amount of time. It can explain difficult subjects, generate useful ideas, correct our mistakes, and help us learn faster. But on the other side, when a machine can do so many things for us, we may stop exercising our own minds. Instead of thinking deeply, we might simply ask AI for an answer. Instead of learning how to solve a problem, we might copy the solution. So perhaps AI is not automatically making us smarter or lazier. Perhaps it depends on how we choose to use it.
Let's start with the positive side. AI can be an excellent learning partner. Imagine a student who is struggling to understand a difficult mathematical formula. In the past, the student might have needed to wait until the next class or search through several textbooks. Today, the student can ask an AI tool to explain the formula using simple language, provide an example, and then create a practice question. The student can even ask the same question several times without feeling embarrassed. In that situation, AI is not replacing learning. It is making learning more accessible and personalized.
I completely agree. AI can be especially useful for people who are learning English. A learner can ask AI to correct their grammar, explain unfamiliar words, create conversations, or practice a job interview. Some learners are afraid of making mistakes in front of real people, so practicing with AI can help them build confidence. It is available at any time, it does not become impatient, and it can adjust the difficulty of the language. Used in this way, AI can support independent learning and help people improve more quickly.
Exactly. It can also help people explore topics that they might never study in a traditional classroom. Someone may suddenly become interested in psychology, history, space, business, or health. AI can provide a simple introduction and guide that person toward more detailed information. Curiosity is an important part of intelligence, and AI can make it easier for people to follow their curiosity.
However, there is also a danger. When information becomes too easy to obtain, we may stop valuing the process of finding it. Learning is not only about receiving the correct answer. It is also about struggling with questions, making mistakes, comparing different ideas, and slowly developing understanding. When we immediately ask AI to complete every difficult task, we may receive a good answer, but our own thinking skills may not grow.
That reminds me of calculators. Calculators are extremely useful, but imagine someone who uses a calculator for every simple calculation, even something like 7 plus 8. After some time, that person might lose confidence in basic mathematics. The calculator is not the problem. The problem is using it in situations where the brain should still be doing the work. AI may create the same kind of problem, but on a much larger scale, because it can help with writing, reasoning, planning, research, and creativity.
Yes, and writing is a good example. Suppose a student receives an assignment to write an essay about climate change. The purpose of the assignment is not only to produce 500 words. The purpose is to research the topic, organize ideas, build an argument, and express an opinion clearly. When AI writes the entire essay, the student receives the final product but misses the intellectual journey. The assignment may look complete, but the student has not necessarily learned anything.
There is another issue: AI can sound confident even when it is wrong. People sometimes believe an answer simply because it is written clearly and professionally. But a polished answer is not always an accurate answer. AI systems can misunderstand questions, provide outdated information, or create details that sound real but are false. Therefore, using AI intelligently requires critical thinking. We should ask, where did this information come from? Does it match trusted sources? Is there another perspective? Could this answer be incomplete?
That is very important. In fact, AI may force us to develop a new kind of intelligence. In the past, being knowledgeable often meant remembering a large amount of information. Today, information is available almost instantly. The more important skill may be knowing how to ask good questions, evaluate answers, identify mistakes, and combine information from different sources. A person who blindly accepts everything AI says may become dependent. But a person who questions, verifies, and improves AI-generated information may become more capable.
So perhaps the question is not simply, can AI give us answers? The better question is, what do we do with those answers? Do we copy them without thinking, or do we use them as a starting point? Do we allow AI to replace our judgment, or do we use it to challenge and expand our judgment?
Let's talk about creativity. Some people believe AI is destroying human creativity because it can generate stories, songs, images, and video ideas within seconds. They worry that people will stop creating original work because it is easier to type a short instruction and let a machine produce something.
That concern is understandable, but I also think AI can support creativity. Creative people do not always lack talent. Sometimes they lack time, resources, or inspiration. A writer may use AI to brainstorm 10 possible story openings, but still write the final story in their own voice. A small business owner may use AI to organize ideas for a marketing campaign, but still make the final decisions. A teacher may use AI to create the first version of a lesson plan, then improve it based on the needs of the students.
The difference is between assistance and replacement. When AI assists us, we remain in control. We select the ideas, reject weak suggestions, add personal experience, and make meaningful decisions. But when AI replaces the entire creative process, we may produce more content while expressing less of ourselves. The result may be efficient, but it may also feel empty or similar to everything else online.
Another important area is decision-making. People are beginning to ask AI about relationships, careers, money, health, and major life choices. AI can help us organize our thoughts, but it does not truly experience fear, love, regret, responsibility, or hope. It can analyze language and patterns, but it does not live with the consequences of our decisions.
Exactly. Imagine someone asking AI, "Should I leave my job?" AI may provide a useful list of advantages and disadvantages, but it does not know every detail of that person's financial situation, family responsibilities, workplace culture, or emotional condition. AI can support reflection, but it should not become the final authority over important personal choices.
The same is true for medical and legal questions. AI may provide general information, but serious decisions should still involve qualified professionals. Convenience can make people overconfident. They may think, "I received an answer in 5 seconds, so I understand the entire situation." But real-world problems are often more complicated than a short answer suggests.
So how can we use AI without becoming lazy? I think the first rule is simple: try before you ask. Before using AI, spend a few minutes thinking about the problem yourself. Write your own ideas, attempt the calculation, or create a basic outline. Then use AI to check, improve, or challenge your work.
That is a great rule. My second suggestion would be, ask AI to teach you, not only to complete the task. Instead of saying, "Write my assignment," say, "Explain this topic, ask me questions, and help me build an outline." Instead of saying, "Give me the answer," say, "Show me the steps and explain why each step matters." This keeps the learner actively involved.
My third suggestion is to verify important information. Check reliable websites, books, research papers, or professional advice. AI should not become our only source of knowledge.
And the fourth suggestion is to create something personal. After using AI, add your own examples, experiences, opinions, and style. Ask yourself, what part of this work came from me? AI can generate words, but your perspective is what makes the work meaningful.
After discussing both sides, I would say that AI is like a powerful mental tool. A tool can strengthen us when we use it carefully, but it can weaken us when we become completely dependent on it. A person who uses AI to avoid every difficult thought may become mentally passive. A person who uses AI to learn, question, experiment, and explore may become more intelligent and productive.
I agree. AI itself is not making everyone smarter, and it is not making everyone lazy. It is increasing the impact of our habits. Curious people can use it to learn more. Creative people can use it to explore more possibilities. But people who always search for shortcuts may use it to avoid effort. The technology is powerful, but the final responsibility remains with us.
Perhaps we should think of AI as a bicycle for the mind. A bicycle helps us travel faster, but we still need to choose the direction, maintain our balance, and control the journey. AI can increase our speed, but it should not decide where our lives are going.
Now we would love to hear your opinion. Is AI helping you become more knowledgeable and productive, or do you feel that you are becoming too dependent on it? Think about the last time you used an AI tool. Did it help you learn something, or did it simply help you avoid doing the work?
Share your thoughts in the comments, and try to write your answer in English. You can say, I believe AI is making us smarter because, or, I think AI is making us lazy because. This is a great opportunity to practice expressing your opinion.
Thank you for listening to today's conversation. Remember, technology should support your mind, not replace it.
Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep thinking for yourself.
We'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to our English Conversation podcast, where we help you speak English more naturally, confidently, and comfortably in real-life situations. I'm Emma, and today we are discussing an important communication skill that every English learner needs, because sooner or later, you will hear an opinion that you do not agree with.
And I'm Daniel. Today's topic is how to disagree politely in English, because disagreeing is a normal part of communication, but the words and tone you use can completely change how the other person feels. You can disagree in a way that sounds respectful and thoughtful, or you can disagree in a way that sounds aggressive, rude, or dismissive.
Exactly. Many English learners avoid disagreeing because they are afraid of sounding impolite, so they stay silent even when they have a different opinion. Other learners are very direct and say things like, "You are wrong," "That makes no sense," or "I completely disagree with you," without realizing that these expressions can sound quite strong in everyday conversations.
That is an important point. Saying, "You are wrong," may be grammatically correct, but in many situations, it feels like you are attacking the person instead of discussing the idea. A better approach is to soften your language, acknowledge the other person's opinion, and then explain your own perspective calmly.
Let's begin with one of the easiest and most useful phrases, "I see your point, but..." This phrase shows that you understand what the other person is saying, even though you have a different view. For example, imagine that Daniel says working from home is always better than working in an office.
Well, I honestly think working from home is the best option for almost everyone, because people save time, avoid traffic, spend less money on transportation, and have more freedom to organize their day in a way that suits their personal routine.
I see your point, but I think working from home can also make some people feel isolated, especially if they live alone or if their job requires frequent teamwork and creative discussion. For those people, going to the office a few days a week may provide a better balance between flexibility and social interaction.
That is a very polite disagreement. You did not say, "No, you are wrong." Instead, you first showed that you understood my argument, and then you introduced another perspective. You could also say, "I understand where you're coming from, but..."
Yes. For example, "I understand where you're coming from, but I think the situation may be different for people who need regular face-to-face communication." This phrase is especially useful when discussing personal opinions, lifestyle choices, workplace decisions, or social issues.
Another helpful expression is, I'm not sure I completely agree. This sounds softer than saying, I disagree. The words, I'm not sure, and completely, reduce the strength of the disagreement and make your response sound more open-minded.
Let's use that phrase in another conversation. Daniel, tell me an opinion about learning English.
I believe that students should focus mainly on grammar before they start speaking, because if they speak too early, they may develop bad habits and repeat the same mistakes for years.
I'm not sure I completely agree, because students can study grammar for a long time and still feel unable to speak naturally. In my opinion, speaking practice should begin early, even if learners make mistakes, because communication improves through regular use, correction, and repetition.
That response sounds respectful because you disagreed with the idea, but you also explained your reason. Giving a reason is very important. If you only say, I disagree, the conversation may stop. But when you explain your thinking, the discussion becomes more meaningful.
Exactly. Another polite phrase is, that's one way of looking at it, although. This expression is useful when you want to suggest that there are other possible perspectives.
For example, someone might say, social media is completely harmful and people should stop using it.
And I could respond, that's one way of looking at it, although social media can also help people stay connected with family members, learn new skills, discover job opportunities, and build communities around shared interests.
Notice that Emma did not reject the original opinion completely. She simply added another side to the discussion. This is a very useful communication habit. Instead of trying to prove that the other person is wrong, try to show that the topic may be more complicated than it first appears.
You can also say, I agree to some extent, but this phrase is perfect when you agree with part of the person's opinion but not all of it.
For example, I might say, university education is the only reliable path to a successful career.
I agree to some extent, because university can provide valuable knowledge, qualifications, and professional connections, but I do not think it is the only path to success. Some people build successful careers through vocational training, online learning, practical experience, entrepreneurship, or creative work.
Very good. You accepted part of my statement, but you also added an important limitation. This often sounds more intelligent and balanced than strongly rejecting everything the other person says.
Now let's discuss tone of voice, because polite disagreement is not only about vocabulary. You can use a polite sentence, but if your voice sounds sarcastic, impatient, or angry, the listener may still feel offended.
That is true. Imagine someone says, I think we should postpone the meeting until next week. And you reply with an annoyed voice, I understand your point, but that is obviously a terrible idea. Even though you used, I understand your point. The rest of the sentence sounds insulting.
A better response would be, I understand your point, but I'm concerned that postponing the meeting may delay the entire project. Would it be possible to hold a shorter meeting this week and continue the discussion next week?
That response does three useful things. First, it acknowledges the suggestion. Second, it explains the concern. Third, it offers an alternative solution. This is especially effective in professional conversations, because you are not simply rejecting someone's idea, you are helping the group move forward.
Another useful professional phrase is, I have a slightly different perspective. This sounds calm, confident, and respectful. For example, during a team discussion, you could say, I have a slightly different perspective. I think launching the product this month may be risky because we have not completed enough testing.
You could also say, may I offer a different point of view? This phrase is formal and polite, especially in meetings, presentations, academic discussions, or conversations with someone senior to you.
Let's imagine we are in a business meeting. Daniel, you are the manager, and you want the team to increase the advertising budget.
Based on our recent sales figures, I think we should significantly increase the advertising budget next month, because more visibility will probably attract more customers and help us compete with larger companies.
May I offer a different point of view? Increasing the advertising budget may help, but I think we should first review which campaigns are actually producing results. If we spend more money without analyzing the current performance, we may simply increase our costs without improving sales.
That sounds professional because you asked permission to share another view, and then you focused on the business issue rather than criticizing me personally.
Now let's talk about phrases you should use carefully. One phrase is, I completely disagree. It is not always rude, but it is strong. It may be appropriate in a formal debate or when discussing something serious, but in casual conversations, it may sound confrontational.
And expressions like, that's ridiculous, that's nonsense, you clearly don't understand, or, only an idiot would believe that, should usually be avoided, because they attack the person and can quickly turn a discussion into an argument.
Instead of saying, that's ridiculous, you can say, I find that difficult to agree with. Instead of saying, you don't understand, you can say, perhaps we are looking at the issue from different perspectives.
And instead of saying, your idea will never work, you can say, I'm not convinced that this approach will work in the current situation. The second sentence still communicates doubt, but it sounds much more professional and respectful.
Let's have a longer natural conversation now. Our topic is whether people should use their phones during meals with friends.
Personally, I do not think using a phone during a meal is a serious problem, because people may need to answer an important message, check something related to work, or quickly respond to a family member. As long as they are not using the phone throughout the entire meal, I think it is acceptable.
I understand where you're coming from, but I have a slightly different view. When people meet for a meal, especially after not seeing each other for a long time, constantly checking a phone can make the other person feel ignored. Even a few minutes of distracted attention can affect the quality of the conversation.
That is fair, although I think the situation depends on the reason someone is checking their phone. If a person is waiting for an urgent message, it may be unreasonable to expect them to switch off their phone completely.
I agree to some extent, and I certainly understand that emergencies happen, but I think the polite thing to do is explain the situation. Someone could say, I'm sorry, I'm waiting for an important message, so I may need to check my phone. That way, the other person understands that the phone use is necessary rather than disrespectful.
Yes, I can see your point. Perhaps the problem is not the phone itself but the lack of communication. If people explain why they need to use it, and keep the interruption brief, it may not damage the conversation.
Exactly. And notice how our disagreement developed. We did not try to defeat each other. We listened, clarified our ideas, agreed with certain points, and gradually found some common ground.
That is the real purpose of polite disagreement. It is not about winning every conversation. It is about expressing your opinion while maintaining respect and allowing the other person to feel heard.
Before we finish, let's review the most useful expressions from today's episode. You can say, I see your point, but, I understand where you're coming from, but, I'm not sure I completely agree. That's one way of looking at it, although, I agree to some extent, but I have a slightly different perspective. And, may I offer a different point of view?
Here is a speaking exercise for you. Imagine your friend says, learning English from movies is a waste of time. Pause the podcast and respond politely using one of today's expressions.
You could say, I'm not sure I completely agree, because movies can help learners understand natural pronunciation, common expressions, and real conversational English, although they should probably combine movies with more structured study.
Here is another one. Someone says, people should never change their careers after the age of 30.
You might answer, I understand where you're coming from, because changing careers can involve financial and personal risks. But I think people can successfully start a new professional path at almost any age if they prepare carefully and develop the necessary skills.
Excellent. Remember, a polite disagreement normally has 3 parts. Acknowledge the other person's opinion, introduce your different perspective gently, and explain your reason clearly.
And do not be afraid to disagree. Having a different opinion does not make you rude. What matters is how you express it. With respectful language, a calm tone, and a willingness to listen, disagreement can lead to better ideas, stronger relationships, and more interesting conversations.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Practice these expressions aloud, create your own examples, and try using at least one polite disagreement phrase in your next English conversation.
We hope this episode helps you speak with more confidence and respect. Keep listening, keep practicing, and remember that every conversation is an opportunity to improve your English.
See you in the next episode.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Fluency Conversation Hub. I'm Emma, and today we are going to talk about something that sounds simple, but can actually feel quite difficult, especially when you are speaking in a second language. Our topic today is how to make new friends in English. Many English learners know grammar, vocabulary, and common sentences, but when they meet someone new, they suddenly become nervous and do not know what to say.
That is completely true, Emma. Sometimes people prepare many sentences before meeting someone, but when the real moment comes, their minds become completely blank. They start thinking, what should I ask? What if I make a mistake? What if the other person thinks I am boring? However, making friends is not about speaking perfect English. It is about showing interest, being friendly, asking simple questions, and listening carefully.
Exactly. In today's episode, we will show you how to start a conversation, how to keep it going, how to find common interests, and how to end the conversation in a friendly way. We will also teach you some useful expressions that you can use when you meet someone at university, at work, at a social event, in a cafe, or even online.
And remember, you do not need to use complicated vocabulary. In fact, simple and natural English is often much better than difficult English. The goal is not to impress people with advanced words. The goal is to make the other person feel comfortable talking to you.
Let us imagine that we are attending a language exchange event. I do not know Daniel, and Daniel does not know me. We are both standing near the refreshment table, and I decide to start a conversation. Hi, I don't think we've met before. My name is Emma. Are you here for the language exchange event too?
Yes, I am. Nice to meet you, Emma. I'm Daniel. This is actually my first time attending an event like this, so I wasn't completely sure what to expect, but everyone seems very friendly so far.
Nice to meet you too, Daniel. It's my first time here as well, and honestly, I felt a little nervous before coming because I didn't know anyone, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to meet new people and practice speaking English.
I had exactly the same thought. I almost decided not to come because I was worried that I might not know what to say, but then I reminded myself that most people here probably feel the same way, so there was no reason to be too nervous.
That was a good decision. Sometimes the hardest part is simply walking into the room, but once you start talking to someone, everything becomes easier. So, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Spain, but I moved here about 6 months ago for work. I'm still getting used to the city, and I'm trying to meet more people because most of my colleagues are usually busy after work. What about you?
I'm from Italy, and I'm studying business at a university nearby. I've been here for almost a year, but I still feel like there are many places in the city that I haven't explored yet.
That's interesting. I haven't explored much either. During the week, I usually go to work and then return home, so I would really like to discover some new cafes, parks, and interesting places during the weekend.
Same here. I recently found a small cafe near the Central Library. It has a very relaxed atmosphere, and they also organize live music nights on Fridays. Have you ever been there?
No, I haven't, but it sounds like the kind of place I would enjoy. I love cafes where you can sit for a long time, have a good conversation, and listen to music without feeling rushed. Now, let us pause for a moment. Emma did something very useful in that conversation. She asked me, "Where are you from originally?" That question cannot be answered with only yes or no. It encouraged me to share more information.
These are called open questions. Open questions usually begin with words like what, where, how, why, or when. They are very helpful when you want to make a conversation longer.
For example, instead of asking, "Do you like this city?" you can ask, "What do you like most about this city?" The second question gives the person more opportunity to speak.
Let us continue the conversation, and this time, pay attention to how we ask questions and react to each other's answers. You mentioned that you like music. What kind of music do you usually listen to?
I listen to many different kinds of music, but I especially enjoy acoustic music and soft rock. I usually listen to music while I'm cooking or traveling to work because it helps me relax. What about you?
I like acoustic music too, especially when I'm studying. I also enjoy jazz, although I don't know much about it. I just like the calm feeling it creates.
That's funny because I started listening to jazz recently as well. One of my colleagues recommended a few musicians to me, and now I often listen to jazz playlists in the evening. I'm still learning about different artists, but I really enjoy the sound.
It seems we already have something in common. Do you ever go to live music events?
Not very often, but I would like to. In my hometown, I used to attend small concerts with my friends, especially during the summer. Since moving here, I haven't had anyone to go with, so I usually just listen to music at home.
Well, the cafe I mentioned has live music this Friday. I was planning to go, but I wasn't sure whether I wanted to go alone. You would be welcome to join me.
That would be great. I would really enjoy that. It would also be nice to explore a new place and meet more people.
Perfect. I can send you the location later. Apart from music, what do you usually enjoy doing in your free time?
I really enjoy cooking, especially traditional Spanish food, although I'm not sure whether my cooking is as good as my family's. I also like photography, and sometimes I walk around the city taking pictures of streets, buildings, and ordinary moments that people usually ignore.
That sounds interesting. I love taking photos too, but I usually use my phone instead of a professional camera. I enjoy photographing food, cafes, and beautiful places when I travel.
You don't always need a professional camera. Sometimes a phone is enough to capture a good moment. I think the most important thing is noticing something interesting and finding a creative way to show it.
I agree. Maybe one weekend, we could explore a new area of the city and take some photos. That would be a good way to practice photography and discover new places at the same time.
I would definitely enjoy that. It sounds much better than spending another weekend sitting at home and watching random videos.
Another important part of making friends is showing that you are genuinely interested in what the other person is saying. You should not only wait for your turn to speak.
You can show interest with small expressions such as, "That sounds interesting." "Really? Tell me more." "I feel the same way." "That must have been exciting." "I've never tried that before."
These expressions may seem simple, but they make a big difference. They show the other person that you are listening. Let us continue our conversation. You said that you moved here 6 months ago. What has been the most difficult part of living in a new country?
I think the most difficult part has been building a new social life. At the beginning, everything felt unfamiliar, and I didn't know where to go or how to meet people. At work, everyone was polite, but most people already had their own friends and families, so I often felt lonely during the weekends.
I understand that feeling. When I first arrived, I also felt lonely, even though I was surrounded by many students. It took me some time to realize that other international students were probably feeling exactly the same way.
That's true. Sometimes we think everyone else is confident and comfortable, but in reality, many people are also hoping that someone will talk to them first.
Exactly. I met one of my closest friends because I asked her a very simple question about a class assignment. We started talking about university, then food, then travel, and eventually we realized that we had many common interests.
That is a good example. Friendships often begin with very ordinary conversations. You don't need a perfect opening sentence. You just need to start somewhere.
Yes, and sometimes a small conversation can become a strong friendship. You never know which person might become important in your life.
Have you made many friends since moving here?
I have made a few close friends, but I still want to meet more people. I prefer having a small group of genuine friends instead of knowing many people without having a real connection.
I feel the same way. I don't need a huge social circle, but I would like to have a few friends with whom I can talk honestly, explore the city, and enjoy simple activities. Some learners may be thinking, this conversation sounds natural, but what can I say when I feel nervous?
One helpful strategy is to prepare a few safe questions before attending a social event. For example, how do you know the host? What brings you here today? Have you been to this event before? What do you usually do in your free time? How long have you been living here?
You can also be honest about feeling nervous. You can say, I'm a little nervous because I don't know many people here. Often, the other person will understand and may even say that they feel the same way.
You do not have to hide your nervousness. Being honest can actually make the conversation feel more natural. There is one mistake that many learners make when trying to meet someone new. They ask question after question without sharing anything about themselves.
Yes. The conversation starts sounding like a job interview.
For example, where are you from? What do you do? Where do you live? What are your hobbies?
These questions are not wrong, but after the other person answers, you should react and share something related about yourself.
Let us show the difference.
What do you usually do on weekends?
I usually visit a cafe, read a book, or go for a long walk in the park. I also try to call my family because we live far away from each other. What about you?
I also enjoy walking, especially when the weather is nice. Recently, I've been trying to spend less time on my phone and more time outside, so I often walk without any particular destination.
That sounds relaxing. I sometimes do the same thing. Walking without a plan can help you discover places that you would never find if you only followed a map.
Exactly. Last weekend, I found a small second-hand bookshop on a quiet street. It looked very old, but it had an amazing collection of books.
Really? I love second-hand bookshops. Did you buy anything?
Yes, I bought a travel book about South America. I'm not planning a trip yet, but I enjoy reading about different places and imagining where I might travel in the future.
That sounds wonderful. South America is also on my travel list. Which country would you like to visit first?
Probably Argentina, because I'm interested in the culture, the landscapes, and of course the food. What about you?
I would love to visit Peru. I've seen pictures of the mountains and historical sites, and they look incredible. When the conversation is going well, you may want to stay in contact with the person. You can suggest a future activity in a relaxed way.
You can say, "We should get coffee sometime. Would you like to join us this weekend? There's an event next week that you might enjoy. Maybe we could practice English together. Emma, I've really enjoyed talking with you. I'm glad I decided to come to this event."
Me too. It was nice meeting someone who also enjoys music, photography, and exploring the city.
Would you like to exchange contact information? It would be great to stay in touch and perhaps go to that live music cafe on Friday.
Of course. I'll give you my number, and I'll send you the location of the cafe later today.
Perfect. What time were you thinking of going?
The music usually starts at 8, so maybe we could meet there around 7:30. That would give us some time to find a table and order something before the performance begins.
That sounds good to me. I finish work at 6, so I should have enough time to get there.
Great. I'm looking forward to it.
So am I. It was really nice meeting you, Emma.
It was nice meeting you too, Daniel. See you on Friday. Before we finish, let us review some useful expressions from today's conversation.
To start a conversation, you can say, "Hi, I don't think we've met before. Are you here for this event too? Is this your first time here?"
To show interest, you can say, "That sounds interesting." Really? Tell me more. I feel the same way. That must have been exciting.
To find common interests, you can ask, "What do you usually do in your free time? What kind of music do you like? Do you enjoy traveling? What do you usually do on weekends?"
To suggest meeting again, you can say, "We should get coffee sometime. Would you like to join me? Maybe we could go together. Would you like to exchange contact information?"
Now it is your turn to practice. Imagine that you are meeting someone at a social event. Repeat these sentences after us.
Hi, I don't think we've met before. My name is Emma.
What brings you here today?
Is this your first time attending this event?
What do you usually enjoy doing in your free time?
That sounds interesting. Tell me more about it.
I feel the same way.
We seem to have a lot in common.
Would you like to get coffee sometime?
It was really nice meeting you.
I hope we can stay in touch.
Making new friends in English may feel difficult at first, but remember that you do not need perfect grammar or advanced vocabulary. You only need to be friendly, curious, and willing to listen.
Start with a simple question, react naturally to the answer, share something about yourself, and look for common interests. The more conversations you have, the more confident you will become.
Do not wait until your English becomes perfect before speaking to new people. Your English improves through real conversations, not only through studying.
And remember, the other person may be just as nervous as you are. Sometimes, all it takes is one friendly sentence to begin a new friendship.
Thank you for listening to today's episode.
Practice the useful expressions, repeat the dialogue, and try starting a small conversation with someone new this week.
See you in the next episode.
Goodbye, everyone, and keep practicing your English.